Chapter 12 Armour of the Soul. David, Tom and I gathered in our usual spot the next day at recess. We sat on the concrete steps overlooking the soccer pitches, eating away at our 20-minute break. So, last night was not a success, I said. Or maybe a mild success for you, Tom. I don't know about that. He slumped down on the step next to me. I might have kissed her goodnight, but I've been doing that every time we catch up. Penelope's just so off last night. Really? I asked. My stomach grumbled. I rammed a banana into my face. What, you didn't notice? David asked, standing before Tom and I. I was knee-deep in nerves, and even I noticed. What was she doing? I asked. Well, for one, she left super early, Tom said. She had school early, I protested. Well, sure, but she didn't tell me that, and she barely said a word all night. Not a thanks to David for having her over, or a thanks to Tom for paying for my pizza. I mean, that's just not on, he scowled. And she's totally not like that when it's just us together, but she goes all silent around my family too. I'm sick of it, he huffed. Gee, I think we hit a nerve, David winced. Well, you're not, going out, are you, though? I asked Tom. Well, no, he sighed, his head sunk between his knees. I think I'm learning my lesson, boys. She's just too basic. She's such a classic hot white girl. I need somebody with manners, someone who has good interests and hobbies, someone intellectually stimulating. I mean, the sex is great. Wow, too much information, David coughed. But she's terrible. I think I did a bit of a dick think on this one. She's way too crazy. Hey, well, I mean, at least that's somewhat of a mature realization, I smiled. But does the lack of manners construe being called crazy? Entitled, maybe? Oh, no, that's only the start of it, Tom laughed. He craned his head of red hair up to face me. She is crazy. She's right into conspiracy theories and the paranormal. Just like your sister. Hey, I rebutted. Well, you got my gist. Penelope's a nut. She's closet crazy. When I ask her questions about herself or want her to open up about her interests, she never does. I'd never have known she was deluded if she didn't ask me to fix her damn computer. Thing went totally kaput, so she gets me over and makes out with me until I land on the machine. Nice, David grinned. Anyway, she leaves to make us lunch and I dive into her stuff. Man, some weird shit came out of it, like ghosts, demons, the rise of an alien race. It's crazy. She's crazy, and I think I'm going to have to break her heart. David and I fell silent at the implication. It was clear that he was fed up with her. Well, is it stupid, he asked, that I just want to stick around for the physical stuff? Oh, no, I said, it's not stupid, but it's not going to do you or her any favours. You could mentally check out, but that's not very nice on her. And you'd have to pretend that you were in it altruistically. I mean, I don't think it's worth it, man. Yeah, you're right, he huffed. He filled the void of his mouth with an apple and munched down. We watched the soccer in silence. So, I said, what did everyone think of Celeste? Oh, she's crazy hot, Tom said between his existential sighing. Not ridiculously hot, just hot and crazy. Not my thing anymore, I guess. What do you mean she's crazy? I asked Tom. Well, I've been living with her for over a week, said David. And she's definitely, twitchy. But then she's so laid back too. Very chic when she wants to be. Well, no, I don't mean twitchy, said Tom. I mean she's way too flirty. I reckon she'd be a freak, but maybe not a good girlfriend. Gee, fellas, I don't know, I hummed. I was blown away by her. I don't think I've been more physically attracted to anyone else in my life. Well, there'll be other girls, David said. Yeah, but still, I sighed. I can't believe I blew my chance last night. I had so many opportunities to make a move, and I just flopped like I knew I would. And there'll be other opportunities, Tom noted. Not that I think she's worth much trouble. No, I protested. I really feel something, but if I leave it too long, the chance will go. She probably already just sees me as a friend anyway. I'll never crawl away from that label. Don't be so fatalistic, Tom whined. You can crawl out of that zone if you do it now. Just go and talk to her a bit more and lead her on that you're interested. And what if she rejects my advances? I asked. Why does it matter? He asked, wiping a hand over his face. She's an exchange student. She'll leave in a month or two. You just have to have a fling at best anyway. Well, he's right, David said. It's totally low pressure. Oh, well, you're right then, fellas, I said. I gathered up my rubbish in one hand and eyed off the bin. I'm going to go find her right now. I'm going to talk to her right damn now. Man, that's the attitude I wish I had, David said. Go and do it. He handed me his rubbish, and Tom apathetically slid his apple core into my banana peel. I went over to the bin, then continued into the quad in the centre of the senior school. I stood in the centre of the quad and examined my surroundings. There were lots of kids around, but my eye immediately snapped to Celeste. She was outside the greenhouse locker bay, talking in a large group. Celeste was in the younger year level. She was only 16, and as such was surrounded by a bunch of the other year 11 kids. The popular ones, anyway. Her eyes glowed. She was laughing with them and absorbing their attention. My heart sank. My hands gravitated to my pockets. I wasn't popular like that. These dudes were all friends of Reese Cameron, or at least liked him better than me. There was no way I had anything to say to any of them. I couldn't imagine a way to breach that circle. I stood there for a good minute, bouncing back and forth between my feet, staring at her smile. It took me that whole time to realize how creepy I looked. I turned away, pivoting on my foot to find Natalie. In the past week, she'd stopped hanging out so much with Tom, David, and I, and had made some new friends with the other Greek girls in the year level. I power walked over to the tree where they all sat, on the edge of the football oval on the back side of the senior school. As I looked at this group of girls, I felt it again, that sense of not belonging. Even though I knew Natalie better than anyone else who sat with her now, I couldn't think of a way to breach the circle of friends. I pulled my feet through the sludge of my self-doubt, edging closer to the group in spite of my fears. I didn't even have to say anything as I shiftlessly approached. I was called to. "Hey, James," Christy Nanos called me. She had olive dark skin and dark brown hair, which made her classically good looking and, as follows, intimidating to me. But she was also one of the nicest people in the year level. Her smile was so cheery, and she was never mean-spirited. "Are you coming to my party this Saturday?" she asked me. "Oh, yeah, definitely," I squeaked with a growing smile. "I thought Tom told you." "Well, he did," she smiled. "I just wanted to make sure you got it right." "Oh, well, okay," I smiled. "Well, yeah, I'm going to be there. I'll be looking forward to it." "Tell David to come talk to me at lunch," she said. "I want him to bring his exchange student." "Oh, really?" I tried to hide my excitement. "Yeah, well, I'll get him for you after English." "Thanks, James," she grinned sweetly. I turned to Natalie. "Hey, Natalie, could I talk with you for a minute?" I asked, gesturing awkwardly to the side of the building, where there was some privacy. "Oh, sure," she said, getting up and following me away. Behind us were hushed giggles. I led her to the side of the building, on the driveway to the teacher's car park. We talked under the shade of the trees there. "What's up?" she asked me, crossing her arms. "Look, I just need some advice," I said, slumping down. I think I really screwed up my chances last night with being too nervous to make a move. Even now, I saw Celeste hanging out with a bunch of popular Year 11 boys, and I couldn't think of a reason to approach. If I don't step out of my friend zone now, I don't think I'll ever be able to. But I'm just so boring. Like last night, she laughed way harder at everybody else than me. Just now, I saw her having a great time with a bunch of guys who are all way cooler than me. How can I possibly compete? Natalie held an index finger right up to my lip. I went cross-eyed, trying to focus on it. My lips immediately sealed. "James, don't spout nonsense," Natalie said. "But it's not nonsense," I protested. "I'm not good enough or social enough, and..." "No, that's stupid," she put it bluntly. "Firstly, stop putting yourself down. It doesn't get you far. Secondly, why are you trying to be something you're not? Other boys like Tom and those popular guys, they have charisma and humor. You have, well, you're James Gray," she said. "You're awkward, you're full of hyperbole, intelligent, you're well-rounded. Somebody's got to like that. But Celeste doesn't, and she's who I'm trying to impress." Natalie rolled her eyes. Okay, let me finish then," she rubbed her nose. "Look, you're desirable in other ways, James. You might be oblivious to it, but I know a few girls that have a crush on you." "Really?" My face lit up. That one comment went to my head faster than blood could make it to my brain. "Hey, don't be like that," Natalie said. "You've chosen your girl. Don't chase somebody else just because you think they're easy. What kind of a person does that make you? A dickhead." "Oh, okay, sure," I agreed. "But look, if she doesn't see what there is to see in you, she's not worth the hassle of being romantic with," Natalie said, patting down my arms. Her smile seemed earnest. "Plus, Celeste's our Seneva friend. You have every reason to chat with her. Why don't you ask her for some help with something? Have you summoned your Alyss yet?" "My Alyss? What's that?" I asked. "That's your armored form, James. It's Makey." "Well, I couldn't even put my staff away," I chuckled. "But we have armor already?" "Yes, of course," she huffed. "James, haven't you seen all of the other Seneva? They're covered in armor." "Well, yeah, but they put it on, don't they? Where'd you get the idea that they summon it?" "Well, because I've done it, James. The armor is part of the soul, just like your weapon." "Oh, of course you've summoned it," I thought to myself. "Look, just ask her about how one retrieves their Seneva armor. Take her to make our bush or wherever I pulled you into last week. You'll have a good reason to talk with her and be one-on-one. You'll both be vulnerable and she'll get to see your character. I think that'll work well." That's a good idea," I said. "Thank you, Natalie." My smile grew. Natalie patted me on the shoulder. "You're a funny one, James," she noted. The bell rang over her voice. At lunch, after English class with David, I set out to find Celeste. I made it as fast as I possibly could from my locker to the green ground floor bay where Celeste's locker was. I skidded to a halt by her door, the location of which I had procured from David. She turned up not long after me, a plethora of books in hand. She smiled with her bold crimson lips as she peered over the stack of items at me. "James," she said, her voice inflected. "Hi." "Hey, Celeste," I smiled back. "Sorry to surprise you." No, you're okay," she said, bustling past me. "Just let me put my stuff away." Yeah, of course, I said, standing aside. She cracked the code to a padlock, and I opened the door for her. Merci, she said. Look, I wanted to talk to you earlier, but you were surrounded by friends. James, she turned to me deep. She turned to look me deep in the eyes. You can come and talk to me anytime you like, she smiled, holding me in a brief trance. Sure, I snapped out of it. But it's about Geneva stuff, I said. Probably not something I could say out loud. Gosh, it really is different in this country, isn't it? She noted, closing her locker. What did you need to ask me? Well, can you show me how to summon armor? I asked. Natalie told me that the armor isn't a thing you put on like clothes. I didn't know that. In fact, I didn't even know that the weapons came from the thread. You didn't know that? Celeste raised an eyebrow. What has Kavalik even been teaching you? Only the basics, I blushed. Right. Well, there's no Geneva around schools. Let me show you something or two, she grinned. Do you know any secret places? I didn't take Celeste to make our bush. Not only did I not want to have to explain the name, it also wasn't that secretive of a location. There was one place in the school where barely anybody went, though. It was the old smoking spot from back in the day. It was an isolated space between the back of the art buildings and the school's boundary. There was a strip there covered in tall gum trees where teachers could park. The trees shed branches often, and Mr. Moon's car made a shining example of why one shouldn't park under there. I took her around to the side of the art buildings and right into the center of the mysterious smoker's car park. She strutted across the dirt, flicking a small blue flame into existence between her index finger and her thumb. She pivoted on the loose stones to face me. Are you sure that nobody comes here? She asked. I'm absolutely sure of it, I said. Okay, good. She eased up. A large blue flame lit in her palm. She sustained it, letting its tendrils tease the sky. So you want to get your armor? Yeah, but I've got absolutely no idea how to. I didn't even know it was a soul thing until today. How did you not know this? She quizzed again. I thought everyone just owned a set of armor. I repeated my reasoning. Right, she pondered. James, how do you use your powers? She asked. She strutted over to where I was, swaying her hips. My eyes followed the pendulum, my mouth running brainless. Okay, good answer, she teased, and stopped before me. She grabbed my left wrist in a non-lit hand. Her grip was firm, and her hand was hot. I flinched at the idea of somebody grabbing my wrists, but eased up when I saw her face. You got stuck trying to attack me yesterday, she said. Why? I was trying to transfer the energy of Quattro to the kinetic energy of the air. I just couldn't do it, though, I said. I had my grip, but the Quattro didn't transform. I tried to breathe to make the Quattro come, but it wouldn't. She pondered. Her hand crawled its way from my wrist down to my fingers. Her fingers gently caressed my skin. How long have you been there, Keen? Well, I've been controlling the air for about a week, I said. Right. She rubbed my hand. I think it's time to expand your mind a bit. It's okay to think about Quatron as energy conversion, but it's also stupid. Stupid? I asked. Oui. You're limiting yourself. Quattro isn't about science, it's about feeling, she stated. I looked at her, puzzled. Okay, maybe there is some science aspect here, but you open yourself up to so much more by feeling and by using your soul. It's not quantitative is what I mean. Maybe it's easier for me. I've been a Geneva from birth and grown up in a Geneva family. I've grown into my powers, and I grew up knowing how to use them in all aspects of the soul. It's not hard. You think it and you do it. She took her hand from my arm and held it between us. I think I can make the flame. I feel the flame in my hand. With a blue flame bubbled in her palm, and the flame forms. I do not think about the energy or do some stupid breathing exercises to make the quattro flow. I just think about what I know my soul can do. Right, I said. So just do it, she said. I want you to push the air. Just put your hand out and know that it will move. Think it and do it, or better, feel it and do it. Okay, I bit my lip, concentrating. Feel it and do it. I could feel my grip on the air. I didn't think of drawing Quattro or breathing in to summon it. I just held onto the air and pushed forward. A powerful gust of wind rushed past my body. More powerful than any I'd ever summoned previously. The force of it pushing against my hand sent me stumbling backwards. See, that was easy, she said. Wow, that is easy, I said, finding my footing again. I didn't even have to think. You shouldn't have to think, she said. It is the natural way our bodies work. We shall never. Well, what about the armor then? I quizzed. Right, she grinned. That is harder to explain. Your armor is in there. It's a part of your soul and a part of your connection to your black hole. Feel it and do it, she repeated. Just imagine it coming over your body. She winked at me as her face disappeared from sight. Covered by gleaming red armor, it erupted from the point of her thread, crawling over and locking into every space of her body. It constricted her joints to unnatural thickness, as if her body didn't exist under it. Her helmet was bright red, with mean blue eyes. It had 2 angled fins like antennae extending from the back of her head and over her face. The rest of her was a mix of gunmetal grey and bright red plating, with blue spiked shoulder guards and knee pads. Her figure was sharp and mean. Through the helmet she smiled, and from her back erected 4 insectoid wings. I stumbled in fright as they unfolded before me. "Whoa," I uttered. "This is Genève," she said. "When a Suneva bears the Suneva armor, you call them by the Suneva name." "Sure, Genève," I said. I pointed to the wings. "How did you get those? Can you fly?" "It is not uncommon for Suneva to have extra appendages," she said, pulling a wing around and stroking it between her bright, red, frighteningly long fingers. "But no, I cannot fly. They can, however, soften a landing." "Damn," I uttered. "That's so cool." "Merci," she beamed. Anyway, the armor peeled itself from her body, rushing back to the mouth of her thread in an instant. Underneath was the same French girl who I'd seen before. No deformed joints. "Try it," she instructed me. "You should be able to feel it in there." Alright, I said. I concentrated hard on the feeling of anything at all. All of this soul-searching recently left me dizzy, trying to find magical items in magical places. Truth be told, I couldn't feel anything at all. "I don't think there's anything in there," I said. "Do not be silly," she said. "It has to be in there. Don't you feel like your bones are sick? Like there is something they're holding and want to get rid of?" I never considered how my bones felt before. They like to dance, I knew that much. "Okay, where did you find your staff?" she asked. "It was in my arm, but also not. I'm not sure how to explain it," I admitted. "Was it in your arm, but also up there?" She pointed upwards. "Between your body and the black hole in the void." Yeah, exactly that," I said. "It is the same for armor," she said. "It is a part of your soul, but it's a figment of quatre and your connection. It's in you, but it's also between you and whatever else there is in this world. Feel it." I focused on the feeling and became acutely aware that I could feel my bones in my body. This was not a sensation I'd known before. In keying into this, I became aware of another sensation, the sense that I felt my bones somewhere else, in my thread. I tilted my head back and found myself staring up the pipeline of Quattro. My vision danced through the void. I could see my connections like a web of magic. There was a reflection of my whole body in there, where I felt my staff was held while simultaneously being jammed into my left arm. "There it is," I said. "I can see it." "I knew you could," she said. "Now, I do not know how to think about doing it. I've never had to think about it at all, but summon it." "Okay, I'll try," I said. I held onto the image of my reflection, floating in there in that void of energy. I tried to reach out to it. With each breath, I could feel my ethereal fingers edge closer to one another. My bones rattled as if they were about to crack open. The sensation was euphoric rather than painful, though. Powerful warmth spread through my body. My reflection was outstretched, trying desperately to hold my hand and be dragged through the thread. Our fingers touched, and the mirage collapsed in on itself in an instant. I was yanked out of the vision of my reflection and thrown back into the waking world. The force of the illusion ejected itself from my body in a disturbingly powerful burp. I coughed and spluttered. "Very charming," Celeste noted, stepping back. My face flushed red and hotter than her fiery hands. "I thought I had it," I laughed uneasily. "That wasn't it." "You don't say," I brushed myself off. "You really are an odd Suneva, James," she said. "I've never known anybody not to understand the armor and the sword." Thanks," I quizzed. I extended my hand, latched into the air, and swiped across my face. A gust of air pushed the involuntary burp away. "You'll get it soon," she smiled and patted me on the shoulder. I smiled wanly back. I had become acutely aware that I'd failed to be flirty at all, and if anything, I'd probably just disgusted the poor girl. Leaves and stones crunched underfoot around the corner of the building. Both of our ears pricked up at once, and we span on the gravel to face the sound. 3 people walked around the corner, each with a smoke in their hand. Reese Cameron led Jason and Sam, 2 of his good friends, to their apparent favourite smoking spot. They twirled the cigarettes in their fingers as they strutted around the building. They glanced to Celeste and me. My eyes were as wide as a rabbit under an eagle, but Celeste was calm and collected. She took my hand firmly in hers and spun me around to face her, away from Reese and his friends. Her eyes stared into mine, and for a second my heart melted into my veins. My blood ran hot as she stared past my soul with a look of total physical desire. My mind froze and my brain was aghast and confused. She wrapped her arms around my neck and pulled my head in. Her lips diverted from their collision course with mine, and she kissed my cheek instead. I could feel my pulse and my eyelid as it twitched from excitement. A cheesy grin cracked into place across my paralyzed face. She quizzed me with a squint, and I had no idea what it meant, but it stopped me from smiling right away. "Damn, you can do way better than James Gray," Reese Cameron called from the other side of the dirt patch. Celeste peered around my body to stare him down. She removed her arms from my shoulders, and I turned to face the scene. "What was that, darling?" she asked in a French inflection. "He said that you can do way better than him," Jason scoffed, pointing at me with the end of his cigarette. Reese's free hand plunged into his pockets, fumbling for a lighter. Celeste strutted away from me, tracing a red acrylic nail down my arm as she did, letting it linger before stepping away. She pulled her own cigarette from the pocket of her blue school dress and snapped her finger on its end. It lit up in a dazzling blue flame. The boys were too occupied watching her waist sway to notice. She put it into her mouth. Celeste stepped close to Reese, her face almost at his. She grabbed his smoking arm with her right hand and plucked the cigarette from between his meaty fingers. She let go of him and held the cigarette between their line of sight. She flicked her index finger up the inside of her thumb and created a blue flame which rested atop her nail. She used this to light the cigarette, which she delicately placed between his lips. Reese was gobsmacked. Celeste smiled at him with a lustful gaze. "Light up nails," she explained to the stunned man as the flame died out. "All the girls have them in France." Her hand lunged for his throat, but stopped short of grabbing it. Her nails clenched at the base of his jawbone, and she pulled her hand away, tracing his jawline. As her fingers cleared his chin, they snapped together, fostering a flame between them. She quickly extinguished it, and wordlessly turned to walk away. Reese Cameron was expressionless. His mouth hung agape as the lit cigarette dangled limply from it. Celeste teased him with her gait as she came back to me. She dropped her cigarette and stomped it underfoot. White smoke rose from between her rosy lips. An orb of white solid lifted from the cigarette's extinguished end into her grasp, a wad of pure oxygen. She grabbed me by the hand, which I didn't have the time nor brainpower to reject, and walked me around the corner of the art building. I smiled smugly back at Reese. On the outside, I was satisfied, but I knew we were both as confused as one another. Once Celeste and I had cleared the corner of the building, she dropped my hand. "That," she said, "is how you have fun with mean boys." Yeah, right, I tried to gather myself. "You smoke?" "No, but I keep that as a prop. You never know when you get to freak out somebody," she said. "But you shouldn't have been surprised if I did. Have you met other French girls my age?" "None," I replied lamely. "Well, they smoke, that's about it," she said. "Anyway, let's go eat something. I'm starving." "Sure," I nodded my head in agreement. We walked off together back to the senior school. She didn't grab for my hand or my body again, and I had no idea where that left us.